I can tell you what, there's a lot of things I'm going to miss about this season, but that intro is definitely going to be one at the very top of the list of things I'm going to miss. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Blitz. Final week 17, the championship week. And that means if you stuck with us, we got you there, or hopefully we helped get you there in some kind of facet, or maybe you just did the exact opposite of what we told you to do, and that's how you got there. You never know. So hopefully we helped you out in one way or the other. It looks like most of the crew today slept in, hung over, all that fun stuff. Maybe a new year, a new leaf. They're just like, screw the Blitz. But I do have my steady Eddie, my man to my left, Jason. Jason, Happy New Year. How you doing today?
Happy New Year to you, Mike, and everybody already watching. Bobby's already up. That guy's never here right away, only on New Year's. I do have to say, this episode's brought to you by 7-Eleven. When you're too lazy to make coffee at home, they're not actually sponsoring us, but you know, this is my mornings now, coffee and big old gulp. So, Happy New Year to you. Let's talk some football. And Bobby's already talking about he's in the championship.
Yep, I love it. I love seeing that. We did it. I'm in the championship. Bobby Trees. I'm happy to see that, my man. And good morning to you as well. It looks like the questions may be light. We may have a pretty light show today. So, what kind of matchups are you excited about seeing today in the NFL? I know it was a huge day of college yesterday. We can also expand on how we feel about college as well.
I mean, the big one obviously is tomorrow night, right? Like the Bills Bengals is the one that everybody's really gunning to watch. Looking over the schedule, there's not. I mean, we've seen this a lot most weekends. There's a lot of garbage to watch, right? Like the Broncos Chiefs game's not be good. The Jaguars are not playing anything this week. Bears Lions, meh. Vikings Packers is interesting because the Packers still have a shot to get in the playoffs. That'll be cool. Can they? Can the Packers actually win? Will the Vikings, keep it rolling? I don't know. That team, I feel like they're the worst great team in football this year. The way they've had to win some of these games. How about you, Mike?
They always do manage to find a way to win. Then that's one cool thing about the Vikings, that they're really hard to beat on there. And so, I mean, it's tough to say. If they could just continue that all the way through the Super Bowl, that'd be pretty crazy. Just be this team that you just can't seem to get rid of, because they tend to keep you out of the game on offense, and they tend to be able to do enough. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, who's eventually going to catch the football, and he tends to eventually catch the football about 15 times a game. So it's tough to say, but that's actually the one I'm most excited about. Welcome. Good morning, Mr. Frito Bandito. How you doing this morning, Rich?
I'm good, fellas. Doing a little managing work from home and stuff. So I thought I'd jump on and give you guys a hand and just kind of play by ear.
It was funny. You said hand right at the same time Jason raised his hand. So that was kind of cool. It was like that was scripted. We got our man Salty Sergeant says go Bengals. And then Robert quickly says go Pack go. And then Clock Dodgers podcast says George didn't show up today because his Dolphins are going to lose. Yes. George is actually in a remote place right now, in hiding because of all the trash that he talked about Tua Tagovailoa and how they're going to be so great, and then to find out that guy can't, after all, throw to the right side, and he eventually they just lost it. What a team that, let's talk about that. It was kind of crazy how that team had so much momentum heading towards the playoffs. I mean, I thought this was going to be a guaranteed team that was going to get in there and actually maybe be able to do some damage, and especially how they were playing against the Buffalo Bills. That was one game where I was like, man, they really were very solid against them defensively. They were really able to produce against a defense that I feel like is far superior to theirs. And so they're able to bring it to that level. But boy, they just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Jason, what do you think happened there? Do you think the bye week, was it too long for Tua to get through that, or what was going on there? What do you think happened?
Look, I think Tua's going to be okay. He's a good quarterback. He's better than average. He's not terrible, right? He's a good quarterback. That team's going to figure it out. They don't have a really great running game to speak of. It's a lot of finesse and getting to the outside. It's not like a power. They need a power back, right? They're doing what San Francisco does in the run game, but they're not as good at it as San Francisco is. That defense is not that great. So if they can't score points, they're still giving up a ton. But I always said year 2 is going to be where this team shines because they just had so many different new players from last year to this year, and I always thought that like it always takes a year when you have such high turnover. They came out of the gate strong and kind of proved me wrong early, and I think they're kind of got figured out a little bit. But it is interesting that Neil, who's a Raiders fan, is bagging on a Dolphins fan for how their team's performing.
Yeah, so I can't really talk any trash being a Broncos fan. It's really hard to even show my face in public. But at least, and I mean, I can't even say like, usually I can look at the Raiders fan like Rich down below me and laugh and be like, haha, well, at least we're better than you. But man, I can't do that to anybody this year and it looks like it's going to be a good long 5 years in Denver with Russell Wilson over there. What do you think about the drop off of Miami there, Rich? Did you see anything significant in there that you think that they shouldn't repeat next year?
You know what? It's just been a bad luck for them this season and everything. It's the fact that, bringing in new players like what Jason is saying and everything. And look, there ain't going to be too bad of a drop off with Teddy Two Gloves in there. Excuse me. The only reason why last game when he was in there, yeah, he had a spill. They from above, they thought he had a concussion and everything, and they took him out. So it was kind of a bad situation and everything. I see him stepping in today, and look, he'll run the offense just as good as you want for Teddy Bridgewater being the backup and everything. Yeah, I don't really want to say it's a drop off because I really don't think it is, to be honest with you and everything. I think they're kind of the two same QBs in the same, just different mold,
Yep, I agree. I think that we just saw the mediocrity kind of shine through there towards the end, and where he started hot. And I mean, they have a lot of the pegs in the right position, but I think they're going to definitely fall short this season and not be able to. If they do even make it, they won't get very deep. We got pick a quarterback from our man Bobby Trees. He says Geno versus Jets for revenge, Minshew versus the Saints, Magic Mike White at the Seahawks, or Purdy versus the Raiders. Must compete with Burrow. That's a tough call right there. That's a tough cookie to cook. Jason, what do you think here?
So I have Minshew rated the highest out of all of these guys. He's the highest streamer that I have. Playing against the Saints is tough because sometimes their defense shows up and sometimes it doesn't. For me, it was between Minshew and Mike White, and I just like the weapons better for the Eagles. So they do have something to play for. They're trying to maintain their number 1 overall, so they get the bye week. So I'm going to stick with Minshew.
I don't mind that at all. I was really sad to see Jalen Hurts not making it out this week. A lot of my championship rosters, man, he got me there. Now I don't get to use him. What do you think here, Rich?
Yeah, I like Minshew over all the other options. I like Geno. Is Tyler Lockett back? Are they for sure playing today? Do you know?
Lockett is playing injured, but he is playing.
So he might be a decoy. So look, it would have been Minshew, then Geno. I like Brock Purdy against the Raiders. The Raiders defense is I don't want to say they're packing in and stuff like that, but they have a lot of people that went to the IR and everything this past week. So Purdy should look good. Kittle will have a good day against the Raiders. So, man, to be honest with you, Minshew and Purdy are kind of neck and neck, but I'm going to go Minshew over that.
I don't mind the Minshew call right there for sure. I myself would be leaning Purdy because I don't think that the Raiders are going to be able to do a whole lot to slow down that San Francisco offense. I don't foresee that being a huge scoring game, but I think that the opportunity for Purdy to be throwing the ball a little bit more. The Saints show up enough to where I think Minshew kind of scares me a little bit. I do not understand that they have a lot to play for, but I always like Minshew on the first week. And then the second week, I'm like, man, they kind of caught up to him, and I just don't see that happening very well. What you got, Rich?
I know the 49ers defense is stellar. I mean, if they ain't ranked number 1, I don't know what team's ranked above them and everything. But I did pick on dollars to deuces over and under for the Raiders 49ers game. I think it's set at 52. I took the over because I just think it's going to be the 49ers are going to score a lot. And I think it kind of falls in line with maybe Stidham coming in and running this offense a little bit better, kind of knowing the schemes and everything, and might do some scoring and everything. So I do like the situation that maybe this is a higher scoring game than what people are thinking. So like I said, take it for what it is. I took the over on that game. It should be some good scoring.
Well, as a dollars to deuces fan myself, I think that makes me lock in Purdy even harder. Just because if they're going to be scoring, it's going to be him. But looks like Minshew wins by an edge right there.
By a
He also
mustache.
by a mustache. We got Freiermuth at the Ravens or Higbee at the Chargers, half PPR. He's competing with Kittle. And I just told you how much I like Kittle, so I hope it didn't scare you too bad, Bobby Trees. What do you got here, Rich? Who do you think?
Man, after the performance Higbee had last week with Mayfield, I don't know if that's a repeat and everything. I mean, he was targeted and had tons of receptions in that game. Freiermuth against the Ravens, that's always a low-scoring game and everything. And I don't see Mayfield having another huge game like he did with Higbee. But for me personally, with the Chargers defense hasn't been all stellar. I think I'm going Higbee.
I
like it. I like that a lot. What do you think here, Jason?
I've got these guys ranked back to back, which makes it tough. I do have Higbee edging out Freiermuth by a hair, and it is because it's the Chargers. The Chargers have been bad against tight ends. You can throw all over them. You can kind of run it all over them too. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good Higbee day.
Yeah, I mean, Higbee's had actually 3 good weeks in a row with Baker Mayfield sitting there at the helm. He had a touchdown 2 weeks ago, and then he had 2 touchdowns last week. So
who else did they have to throw it to? I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. The even your Bane Skoronix are out. So who are they throwing it to?
Right. It's funny, like how the mighty have fallen is in the case of the Rams, and it's kind of funny to me too. Like they got worse, and then they lost all their starting talent. And they've actually been looking like a viable team again. Like they've actually been winning football games, putting pressure on people and things like that. So to me, it's just kind of funny how that dynamic worked. Once they got rid of the old guard, it got quite a bit better on that team. It seems to me anyways.
Kind of like the Panthers. As soon as they got rid of McCaffrey, they started playing okay.
Yeah, that was a really weird one to me too. Yeah, like, we got rid of our best player by a bunch. And yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen a few times because it makes your team bring up to a certain level. While we got some time on here, because we'll go for another probably like 15, 20 minutes or so if we don't get too many more questions. Rich, what did you think about the car situation in Vegas? I guess I want to say Oakland's so bad right there.
Yeah, you know what? When initially it came out, man, I was so burnt and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, look, I get it. A game against Steelers, he did not look his best. That's probably one of his worst performances as far as just target and just not putting the ball in the right location and everything. But this is the NFL. It's the nature of the business. And at first, man, it's just like you think of for Carr, he's like, man, they did him dirty after everything he's been through for this team for the past 9 years and everything. But it's a new regime running the place. Stidham knows this offense and everything, and I know a lot of people might not agree with it, but if he comes in and doesn't miss these targets and looks good and everything, look, then they made the right call. I mean, I hate saying that and everything. There's a lot of things that go into what happened this year and everything, so much different than last year, but it's just it's hard to see, but it's the nature of the game, and you just got to move forward. Look, for everybody that loves Carr, and, if you're a Raiders diehard, look, no QB stays with the team. They always end up leaving the team and retiring and stuff like that. So eventually it's going to come. It's just a situation that it happened. Look, they did not want nothing to happen to Carr. They didn't want him to walk in and stub his toe on the stairs due to the fact that if he got injured, he's guaranteed $40 million and stuff like that. So if they're saving the team money, $40 million for next year and everything, and maybe they boosted the defense with the money that they're going to gain and everything. Hey, we got to go with what's going on and stuff like that. And look, I'm Raiders, ride or die till I die. I love Carr, but this is the nature of the game.
It's funny because I mean, everybody would never take me seriously because I'm a Broncos fan, right? Because I'd always say the thing that held the Raiders back from being a really good team was David Carr or Derek Carr. And he was just, the thing about him is he's so good when he can go execute a game plan. But what happens, in my opinion, with Carr is if you are able to isolate his game plan and make him have to get up to the line and actually make decisions right there on the spot, he really lacks that knowledge and the IQ to be able to execute. Like, okay, I know what this guy's going to do. I know what this guy's going to do. He just goes up there. And in my opinion, he'll like set back and go, you know what? I'm just actually going to follow along and do this. And that's where I think he gets an uptick in interceptions, a lot of his incompletions, because I think that takes him off the same page of, like, say you're Devontae Adams, like Devontae Adams, who's like a master of the game. Like he had a good season. And I mean, to his credit, I was talking trash. I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to produce a wide receiver one this year. And here we are. I mean, Devontae Adams did very well this year. But if you look at it through a whole entire lens of the season, there was a lot of opportunities missed because Derek Carr, again, can't adapt to that decision making. So for me, I love Carr because, again, I'm a Broncos fan, and I knew that was always going to be something that held that team back and stifled them. So not that I think Stidham's the answer, but I think they're going to be set in a position where they'll be able to draft possibly something because this quarterback class is pretty elite coming out this year, and I think that they'll be able to snag something in this next draft, especially with a lower record like they had. So
yeah, but the issue is where they're at record-wise now. They're probably drafting around 9 or 10, depending on how the two games fold out. The QBs probably ain't going to be there at that range unless they do something, move up, which I don't think they can. Or I mean, anything's possible, but yeah, it's just a tough situation and stuff like that. I'd rather look, the conspiracy theories out there that look, everything's lining up with Brady coming over next year and everything, leaving Tampa Bay, maybe them doing a trade between Tampa and the Raiders. Derek going over there, which I guess it can't be a trade because he's a free agent after this year. So, yeah, look, even Gronk is already mentioning, oh, you know what? I think I might be coming back this next year. And it kind of sets up with Gronk and Brady going over there. So maybe not draft a QB, draft defensive players. And, yeah, you know what? As much as I hate saying it, you'd burn the Raider Nation to have Brady as their QB with everything that's happened in the past. But, man, look, we'll see what happens.
And we're talking about Derek Nino, and shout out to my man Nino. How's it going this morning? He says Derek or David Carr. We're talking about Derek Carr. Do you have anything to weigh in there, Jason? Are you on the Derek Carr situation?
I mean, look, I am going to be opposite of the Frito Bandito. Look, he knows his Raiders better than I do, but Stidham's a backup for a reason. He's been a backup his whole career. He's not a great quarterback. He's worse than Derek Carr. He may come in and give them a different look and a different spark, but like they're playing against the best defense in the league in San Francisco. That's going to be a problem. That would be a problem for Carr. It's going to be a problem for Stidham. So I don't see this week as being a good one for the Raiders, unfortunately, for my friends down below. But with all that said, like it is time for the Raiders to move on from him. And it's a $5 million dead cap hit. I just went while you guys were talking. I went and looked at the numbers. It's a $5 million dead cap hit, which is down from like $24 million this year. They just did sign him. So it's tough. It's a business. I wouldn't mind seeing a Derek Carr in Tampa. We've got some weapons. I think with the weapons we have, he'd be successful. After the season, I believe you can have Tom Brady because he's kind of washed, I would say, a little bit. Behind our offensive line, it's not fair because he hasn't had much time to throw. He's throwing it fastest of his career, fastest in the league by far, because he just doesn't have the protection. Hopefully for Tampa, that gets fixed when Ryan Jensen comes back in a couple days. The Derek Carr situation sucks for them. But when you have the expectations after signing somebody like Adams and you have the season you have with a new coach, he's going to make a change because he's trying to save his job, along with the fact that like they're just embarrassed by the season they had with the money they spent.
Absolutely. Now, who's the better quarterback, Derek or David Carr? I didn't mean to do that when he said that's what he meant to say. I think it was Derek by quite a big shot, but I think that they were very similar towards the end of their career.
I think David Carr had the opportunity to be a better quarterback. I think he was a better quarterback. The situation he was drafted into didn't allow it. And I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 more. If Tom Brady was drafted by the Cleveland Browns the only reason you would know him is because he'd be the guy calling Big Ten championship games or Big Ten games on Saturday. You'd know him because he looked good, not because he was a quarterback. Situation matters so much for these quarterbacks when they come out of college and where they go. And that David Carr, by the time he drafted by the Texans, right? By the time he left Texas, he was so shell-shocked. I don't want to make any kind of PTFD jokes, but he really was like screwed up from there. So I think situation mattered. I think he could have been a great quarterback.
Yeah, the Carson Wentz effect. What do you think there? Are you going to say Derek because you're a Raiders fan?
Actually, no. I was gonna look. Jason nailed it on the head. I mean, based off of potential, both of them coming out of college. Look, you have a QB that was number 1 overall pick to a QB that was second round. Both great QBs and stuff as far as the skill sets that they had. You hit it on the nail. It's all about where they go and what they're given and everything, especially for David, starting a new franchise and everything. That's just so much pressure on top of everything else that he had to deal with, and just the amount of hits he took and everything. Just like Jason said, shell shock and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll get to some of these fantasy questions here. We got our man Bobby Tree says, if Christian Watson is out, would you start Dubs over Godwin or DJ Moore? Jason, what do you think?
I don't. DJ Moore has looked great with Sam Darnold, which is weird. It's a sentence I never thought I'd utter, but DJ Moore has looked great with Sam Darnold, and Godwin is a PPR monster in Tampa, and they're playing against a poor Panther secondary. So I don't start Dubs over either one of them.
I like it. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, same. Look, Godwin and DJ Moore, you drafted them. Look, it's a rookie that's coming in with Watson being out. Look, it's more coverage for him to deal with and everything. So, not even a thought I would.
Yeah, championship week. I love having, like, DJ Moore has been resurgent enough with Sam Darnold there at quarterback. I like DJ Moore. And Godwin has been producing even with that devastating Tampa Bay offense. I mean, they've just been not clicking or firing on all cylinders. So, and even then, Godwin is still getting his. So I like that one. We have another Watson question. If Watson is out today for the Packers, does Bo Melton have value? Similar players, 4.3, 4.0, trained with Watson, dog out of Rutgers. And I mean, I know Nino knows his college guys very, very well. And so, I mean, he always has his eye to the pulse. But what do you think here, Rich? Do you think this guy, I mean, are we going to gamble on him on our championship week?
No, I am not. Maybe DFS, maybe take a shot there, but I am not doing that in a championship week and anything. That's definitely not for me.
What Nino is leaving out is that Christian Watson is 6'5" and Bo Melton is 5'11". Yeah, that's one very important fact that Nino's leaving out there. Super fast kid, but like, when was the last time Aaron Rodgers said, "Oh, okay, end of season, lots of our games on the line. I'm going to turn it over to this rookie that has barely played," and made him the focus of my offense? I mean, could he have value? He's a fast guy. He's on what could be a potent offense. But man, I couldn't do it on my championship week.
Yeah, no, same here. I mean, like, I think the Packers wide receivers this year have a real New England running back feel to them. I mean, as far as like what guy you're going to get in there, is it going to be the guy that produces? And I know we had a few good weeks with Watson there, but we also had a couple good weeks with Dubs, and we also had a couple good weeks with Tunyon, and we had a couple good weeks with this guy. And that, I mean, so to me, it's just, you cannot gamble. We can't be gambling. This is our championship week. I think I got to go for other options, but I do not mind, like, now if I'm getting a real cheap flex and I'm able to play a lot of high-powered players in my DFS lineup, Bo Melton might be a really good grab because he's sitting at 4,200 or 4,500 on FanDuel right now. So, I mean, that's going to really open up some salary cap for you down the lineup and be able to get there.
The other issue in Green Bay is that it is winter, right? They're running the ball. Aaron Rodgers is averaging a touchdown a week, and you got to hope between Randall Cobb, Romeo Doubs, Alan Lazard, even Aaron Jones or Dylan, that like your guy is the guy they pass a touchdown to.
Right.
And it should be better against the Vikings. Don't get me wrong. They're the worst against wide receivers, 31st, I think, against quarterbacks. But like, still, I don't know. Rodgers has had a lot of plus matchups where he still only scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't have a dash of DFS this week, but throwing this out there, Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback start of the week. I think this is going to be one of our 5 touchdown weeks. What you got there, bud?
Hey, Mike. Real quick, a friend of mine is driving on the road, sent me a message. I told him I was going to ask it on the show to get your guys' opinion. He jumped on to hear what we got to say. So he wants to know, do you start Pacheco, Rashad White, or Drake London?
I'm going to go ahead and lead off with Pacheco. I like his opportunity today. I accidentally went to Denver and I got 2,000 yards rushing against him. It's one of those situations where everybody has just been shredding that defense up one side and down the other. You don't have to even really pass against Denver because they're not going to put any offensive pressure on you to score. So, Isaiah Pacheco for me by a long shot. What do you think, Jason?
Man, that's tough because I do like Drake London. He looked good the last time we saw him last week. But I am going to say Pacheco again as well. The Denver Broncos team just kind of quit, and who can blame them? What's funny is, like, they offered that head coaching job to the defensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator said, "No, I'm good."
Yeah, and so did Sean Payton, and so did like everybody's like, nah. Well, then they said, "When's the Russell Wilson contract expire? Maybe call me then." So what did you think here, Rich?
Man, I'm almost leaning Drake London too. Like the Pacheco, I would like Pacheco if McKinnon wasn't so much involved. He has been their number one option as far as the running game, receiving too and everything. Reception touchdown last week. He's well more fit for this team the way they run it and everything. So that's the only reason why I don't like Pacheco, because maybe Pacheco out touches him. I just think McKinnon is the one that gets the most efficient and productive opportunity with his touches. So, man, Gary, man, I'm sorry to be making this a hard decision. I'm actually leaning. No, you know what? I'm going Pacheco, running back, always over receiver.
Yeah, and that's what my tie goes to the runner, man. Like, it's not my phrase. I think that was Jason who first coined that was outside of baseball. Tie goes to the runner. I have to go with it. Bobby Tree saying he's desperate in a running back 2 situation. We got James Cook at the Bengals, Samaje Perine versus the Bills, Royce Freeman versus Jaguars, Damian Harris versus the Dolphins. Rich, take off. What do you got?
To me, is I don't think this is that hard of a decision. To me, it's James Cook. End of the year and stuff like that, rookie, fresh legs and everything, has been looking good with every touch he has and everything. Man, it's almost like seeing freaking his brother out there with Minnesota. It's almost, they just both got similarities and stuff like that, man. If Singletary wasn't there going in, and maybe I don't know what the situation is next year, but man, I like James Cook in this offense for next year and for the rest of this season, especially in a championship run. These are the kind of the players that I'd rather have a player like this than Bo Melton in a championship situation.
It's criminal how many leagues I got James Cook in very late with, high caliber teams that, were the 111, the 110, the 112 and things like that. And I was picking up James Cook there and he's out. He's just killing it, man. I love James Cook. What do you think here, Jason?
All of these players have problems, right? James Cook has a Singletary problem plus a Josh Allen problem. Perine is back up to Mixon. Royce Freeman's on the Texans. Damian Harris has been injured, played a lot behind. Of the bunch, the most talented to me, the most opportunity is James Cook, and that's why I'm going to go with him. Yeah, I'm looking over the other options. The only guy who's the single player in the backfield is Royce Freeman, and nobody wants a piece of that Texans offense. So for me, it's James Cook.
I like it. And I agree. I think James Cook by a long shot here. And so, Nino, I hope we kind of helped answer your question here as the flex play. I think he's a solid play. I think he's getting enough done. I think he's getting more and more reliable. Singletary, he's the most underused, overvalued running back because people see those big weeks, but he's had like 2 of them. In the other games, in the other weeks, he gets you 5 points. I think you're going to see a lot more of a push up with James Cook today. I think you're going to start seeing the changing of the guard there. And like I said, it's criminal how many dynasty leagues I have that guy in. I love it. Nino Brown says, with Derwin James out today, Grant Delpit is a nice IDP play. Yep, he's going to get a lot of action over there. And he says Dynasty Diamonds. Yep, get out there, man. If you aren't keeping up with T2T, you need to get on there. You need to subscribe. You need to go check out Nino's Dynasty Diamonds. Because, man, guess what? It's the end of this is our season finale show right here. But, man, this is, to me, I hate the football season almost by comparison. I love football and I love the season, but, man, I love Dynasty so much. And I love the offseason and all the things that happen in the offseason so much more than I'm excited. This is when I start getting pumped up. I love January, February football because that's when you can really get some good steals and things like that on your dynasty rosters. We got Bobby Tree says Star Eagles defense, Saints versus the Saints, the Giants defense versus the Colts. Jason, what do you think?
This one is really, really tough for me because as much as I love the Eagles defense, I hate Nick Foles as a quarterback. So I think I'm going to say the Giants defense against Nick Foles and go that way. And almost every time this whole season, we can go back through all the shows. I don't think I've picked against the Eagles once. But man, Nick Foles is just bad on the Colts. So I'm just going to say the Giants and go with it.
I have zero argument for that. What do you think there, Rich?
Zero argument for me too, man. I just like the situation. I mean, you shut down Jonathan Taylor. Man, maybe Nick Foles gets halfway through the game and stuff like that, and they put in Ellinger, makes it even better for the Giants defense. It's an easy decision there.
I mean, you could make the argument, well, okay, but Andy Dalton, right? But I don't know. It's like two great defensive options.
Yeah. I like the Eagles versus the Saints, but I really like the Giants against Colts. Because, like you said, Foles is dreadful, man. He's going to turn the ball over several times. At least he'll be on pace to do that. If he's anything like he was last week, it ought to be a field day. We got our man, Coach Sheps. What's happening, Coach? He says Cole Kmet or Hayden Hurst. Frito Bandito. Rich, take this over. What do you think?
I am going Cole Kmet. I mean, Hayden Hurst has been injured, so I'm assuming he's back for this game. But I just think with the options that Bengals have, less targets for him, to where with Cole Kmet, he should have more targets. It's due to the fact that I don't know what to expect with Hayden Hurst coming back from his injury and everything, because he's been out for I want to say 3 weeks at least, and just don't know how healthy he is. But I like Cole Kmet.
What do you think, Jason?
Man, oh man, I've loved Hayden Hurst all season. He's been my guy. He is coming back from injury. Both matchups are fine. I'm gonna say Cole Kmet because of Hayden Hurst's injury, but it really pains me to say it because I do think if he's on the field and healthy enough to play, that he's gonna have a good game. But I'll say Cole Kmet.
I'm going to say Cole Kmet for a variety of reasons. Number one, there's really not a whole lot of options on the field. You don't have Jamar Chase. You don't have T. Higgins. You don't have Tyler Boyd to contend with, especially coming off of an injury. So for me, Cole Kmet is a pretty solid play. And the last time he faced Detroit, he put up 27 points or 26 points. He had 2 touchdowns against him. So give me that recipe again. I feel like he has an absolutely high, I'd say probably a 1.2 potential touchdown chance right there. So give me Cole Kmet as well. Bobby Tree says, sorry about this next one. I love it when he starts off with the apology at the kicker. Mason Crosby, Riley Patterson, Greg Joseph at kicker. Rich, please tell me you know who a kicker is or what a kicker is and how they are used in football.
I'm going to need to phone a friend. I'm going to have to call Justin. No, look, man. To be honest with you, I maybe could go Mason Crosby due to the fact that with Watson being out and everything, maybe they have enough offense to get down to kick more field goals. It's a tough situation and stuff like that. I like maybe Crosby's situation a little bit better than everybody else's.
Excellent. What do you think, Jason?
I'm just Googling to make sure these guys are on the teams I thought they were on. To make sure, I like Rich's answer. Crosby against the Vikings is pretty good. It's a kicker, man. I don't know what you want me to say.
I love it now. For me, yeah, I have my dartboard out. I was gonna throw it at that, but you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and agree with Rich's take here because hopefully he's expert enough. I mean, kickers, you can insert like 5 names in there, and I'm gonna read them because you know me, I'm just gonna read everything on that screen right there. And I might even try to give you an answer. Just be like, okay, well, this is the guy I picked. And you can put fake names right there. You could totally be like, nah, it's not even a real kicker.
I don't even know who Riley Patterson plays for. Who does he?
Is he I thought he was for not Baltimore. Gosh dang, that's Tucker. I was just looking that one up. But yeah, like I said, I mean kickers, I don't have kickers in any of my league.
Riley Patterson plays for the Jaguars.
Okay, I thought for some reason that guy was Myers. But again, like I said, I don't have kickers on any of my teams. I apologize. It's not something I ever dive into there. He says Jake Elliott's a 4th option. So now I don't know kickers, but I do know about the top 5 kickers. And Jake Elliott for me has always been a top 5. I might take Jake Elliott right here.
I'm doing a little bit of I just did a search for like this week's top kickers. Came up with a list that's not put together by us. So just for what that's worth, which is probably a good thing because we don't know kickers apparently. And the highest one that you've got is Greg. Like the highest one that you've mentioned on that list is Greg Joseph. So
I love it.
I mean, listen, I wish I was, maybe Toilets and Titles needs to get a kicker expert in here.
We've got Justin and we got Lori saying she told him and she thinks he's getting on. So hopefully Justin hops on here and he'll answer that question for you, Bobby, because he'll be able to at least answer that proper. Brandon says, morning, fellas. Happy New Year. He says, PPR, choose 1 or choose 2. I'm sorry, Keenan, Waddle, or Devonta. What do you got here, Jason?
How do you bench any of these guys?
Right.
How do you bench any of these guys? Man, I'm going to say Waddle and Devonta. Oh, let me rephrase this. If you are a favorite, I'm going to say Waddle and Keenan. If you're an underdog, I'm going to say Waddle and Devonta because I think Devonta has the bigger upside, but I think Keenan has the safest floor. So underdog, you want Devontae Smith and his high upside, and I think that's how I'll go.
That was me hammering down that point, throwing down the hammer. I love it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, that's the perfect answer right there. The perfect answer. So we'll go ahead and give Justin some time to get in here and answer the kicker question. We're going to look at a couple more matchups, and then we'll probably go ahead and get on out of here. Oh, that's funny. I was just reading this. Now, do we see anything coming out of that Bears game today? Like, I mean, I know it's like Bears Detroit, but I mean, we're looking at fantasy value here. Is there any other, like, say, not maybe so much with the with your season on the line type thing, but if we're talking about DFS nature, is there anybody on there that you're really looking at?
Cole Kmet, and look, this game right here is one of those perfect games for end of the season championship where you're trying to find a player that because you have injuries or something like that. It's a shot at just like what you let's throw a dart at the board and stuff like that. You just have to be lucky if you're playing. Anybody could go off in this game and everything based off their defenses. But if I had to choose one from the get-go, it's going to be Kmet. Freaking Amon St. Brown should have a freaking stellar game and everything. I like Fields a lot in this game too.
Yeah, Fields is one of my favorite quarterbacks. He got edged out by Aaron Rodgers by me just by a hair. Just because of like I said, I can really see this being a big 5 touchdown game. What about you, Jason? Are you looking at that matchup with any fantasy eyes?
Not so. I mean, look, I want to see Justin Fields play a game and not get hurt. Going into next year for redraft, especially, like, Fields is a great option going into next year, but man, it's going to be hard to trust him when every game he goes out with some kind of injury or has another injury because of the way he plays. You want to start seeing him start games and not end them with another injury piling up because that'll ruin your fantasy year next year, right? But But as far as DFS or anything like that goes, Cole Kmet's a good option because he's probably pretty cheap. You can validate that or not. The Lions, I want to see how they bounce back after getting shellacked by the Panthers.
Yeah, they because boy, they that was one matchup. They were on fire there, and it's funny that the Panthers were able to put that fire out, and we'll see what they bounce back with. But I do anticipate that's going to be a high scoring game. What you got, Rich?
Well, one thing too, the Lions did bench golf too, so I think it's David Bow. I can't remember his last name, how to pronounce it.
Blau.
David Blau.
Well, I think Blau plays for the Cardinals now. Am I wrong?
Man, I want to say that if I remember correctly, that was who. Man, I might be 100% wrong on this, but I could have swore that golf is getting benched this week. They're going. I don't know what situation. So that maybe changes my decision making on Amon St. Brown if I'm correct. And I just remember seeing something the other day on this, and I apologize if I don't have the info correct.
So, yeah, I think you're thinking of Arizona. It looks like Jared Goff is starting today. Everything I'm looking at says Jared Goff is playing.
Okay, well, the only reason why it kind of threw me off and everything is because of the fact that he used to be on the Lions, and when I saw that, I'm like, dang, maybe they're doing the same thing the Raiders are doing.
Yeah, David Blau is definitely the backup there for a long time, but yep, nope, he's a Cardinal now.
Okay. So I apologize for the misinformation there.
the misinformation campaign led by Rich. We got our coach coming back. He says Pacheco, Cordell Patterson, or Kenneth Walker. Jason, help this man out. What do you got?
Man, it is. How can you bench Kenneth Walker? It is so tough to bench Kenneth Walker. I couldn't do it. Cordell Patterson has kind of become an afterthought in Atlanta. So, it's between Pacheco and Kenneth Walker, but the talent for Walker is so incredible that I can't bench him.
I like that a lot. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, look, Patterson is competing with Tyler Algier. Pacheco's competing with McKinnon. Who's Kenneth Walker competing with?
The Jets. I mean, the only argument you can see here is, and why it's probably a question, is he's got the worst. It's got the worst matchup for sure. But yeah, I still couldn't bench Kenneth Walker. He got you here.
Yeah,
well, see, the Jets, so they had a great beginning of the season, but they the numbers I think are a little bit faulty there as far as what represents their past few weeks. I think that you can run and pass against them where you weren't able to do that at the earlier part of the season. I think that quarterback breakdown really hurt them. So for me, I love Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to have the value. Justin, what do you think? And honestly, welcome to the show.
I just thought I'd hop on here to answer the kicker question. So
too bad. I'm going to throw you under the pressure right out the gate.
All right. So I'm not at all prepared for this show. So what's our matchups here? Pacheco, Patterson,
Broncos.
Walker. Who are they playing?
Broncos for Pacheco, Jets for Walker. Patterson is playing. God, all of a sudden I forgot who.
I don't think that one really matters. It's not going to be Patterson for me. Yeah. So I don't really care about the matchup there. So give me Kenneth Walker. I think that he has the opportunity for more opportunity. So,
and it's Arizona that Atlanta's playing. But yep, Kenneth Walker by the group. So Justin, help our man Bobby Trees out. He said we're helping him out. We're keeping him out of panic mode. What do you got here? And then you also have Jake Elliott as a fourth option.
Oh, okay. So Jake Elliott is against New Orleans. That one is going to be in Philadelphia. I don't think the weather's going to be too awful from everything that I'm seeing so far. I have Jake Elliott fired up and playing in a league. I think Jake Elliott's the better of all of these options. I was going to go with not Mason Crosby, Riley Patterson. I was going to roll with Riley Patterson there for the longest stretch until I just found out that Jake Elliott's available. I think Jake Elliott's probably your best bet. New Orleans, one of the absolute worst in the league against kickers. Philadelphia scores points. New Orleans doesn't really do very good at stopping people from scoring points, especially outside of their division. I'm definitely going to go with Jake Elliott.
I like it. What do you got to say there, Rich?
Yeah.
You're muted, by the way.
That's fair too. Yeah.
He's still muted.
You're doing so good.
It might just be unplugged altogether at this point.
He might be. Yeah, and I can't unmute him, unfortunately.
No, I don't think he's muted. Oh, now, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know if you missed it. When they initially asked this question, I was like, hold on, I got to do phone a friend. I need to call Justin.
Well, that's how the executive producer Lori was watching. I didn't even know you guys were doing a Blitz today. I just assumed that it wasn't going. I haven't been checking my phone because of New Year's. So executive producer Lori said, hey, somebody just mentioned you on the Blitz, something about a kicker. And I was like, oh, kicker. My ears perked.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's funny. I was like, is that a New Year's resolution? You're not ever going to turn your phone back on for 2023?
No. So there are, just so you know, there are always 3 to 4 kickers that are guaranteed to get you double digits, and Jake Elliott is one of those this week, by the way.
And honestly, that's what I said too. I liked Jake Elliott right out the gate, just because, again, his name looked familiar to me. So I'm glad you came in here and were able to clarify that, get us set straight. So I appreciate you, man.
I will say one of my New Year's resolutions, though, is to do a heck of a lot more work towards my schoolwork to get this degree. So I am going to be ghosting you guys a lot more frequently during 2023, but mostly because I don't feel like you guys really need me like you used to back in the day. So you guys are freaking awesome. So
how dare you say that and what we need and don't need. But I appreciate the fact that you're trying to do things to better your education and get your situation all finalized over there. I'm sure that'll be nice to have that behind you as opposed to in front of you anymore, for sure. So definitely appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on. We did say Higbee over Freiermuth. That is correct. And I think
already forgot.
So we got one more here. He says, feelings on Aaron Jones. We have Knight, Rashad White, Michael Carter on the bench. Jason, are you putting any one of these guys in for Aaron Jones?
Potentially Zonovan Knight, but probably not. Aaron Jones has an upside where Zonovan Knight doesn't have that same kind of upside. So he's coming off he's coming off injury, and Dylan has been looking good, so that's where you'd be hesitant. But I couldn't put any of these guys in over him, not in the championship.
I agree. I like that a lot. What do you think, Justin?
I'm trying to find it here. Again, I thought I was just answering a kicker question and leaving. So what are the matchups? I know Jones is facing the Vikings. I do know that one.
Rashad White's playing the Panthers, and Knight and Carter are both playing, and we just talked about it. So why I can't remember it is really dumb. The Seahawks, who are terrible against the run.
Yeah, man, I think I'm going to lean Knight as well. Man, I hate to bench Aaron Jones, though, with this group. You got to believe they're going to fight here. And this should be a decent scoring game. That's why I was hesitant not to take the 2 kickers involved in this game. But at the same time, this also could easily be a low-scoring game as well. Just because of the natural battles of divisional matchups, a lot of times they are lower scoring than you expect. And both teams might want to run the ball, though, just to get the game over with. I don't know. I can't bench Aaron Jones. If I have to bench Aaron Jones, I'm going to go with Knight, but I think I keep talking myself right back into Aaron Jones.
Same here. What do you think, Rich?
Right. Yeah. Look, I'm going Aaron Jones. I just can't bench him in a championship game and stuff like that. I know he's been struggling and everything, but this could also be the game that he freaking wins it for you. And I'd rather have him in my starting lineup than on my bench.
Absolutely. Yep. That's the feeling right there. I'd rather be able to explain to myself that I did that as opposed to where I put him on my bench and then he gets 2 touchdowns and goes off. He has the highest potential on anyone out of this line. I'm completely agree with you. And Justin, we'll just put you on the spot for one more, and then we're going to go ahead and close this thing out for the year. We got Bobby Tree says Goff versus the Bears or Fields at Lions. And let's go ahead, Richard. Go ahead and get me started here. What do you got? I called you Richard, and I'm sorry. I meant to say Frito Bandito.
Well, I answer to both, so I answer more to Richard than I do Frito Bandito, so I apologize for that. But that's the only reason why I looked up real quick, because I was answering a question for work real quick. I am going. Look, I'm going Fields. He could outproduce Golf just by feet alone and everything. And like I said, this has one of those potential. This is one of those games that has the most potential to a lot of scoring and stuff like that for a little bit of everybody and stuff like that. So Montgomery should open some things up for Fields where he's going to run and stuff like that. Like I said, the only thing I think Jason said it earlier is the fact that Fields gets potentially hurt and Golf. Yeah, man, this is a tough one. The more I think about it, I'm talking myself out of Fields now because of the fact what Jason said of his injuries and everything. So Golf is probably going to be in the game the whole game. So now that I know he's not being benched, I'm going Golf. Long discussion, but Golf.
I like it. What do you think, Jason? Do you have an argument there?
No, it's so look. Could you say Fields because of his feet? Yes. The Detroit Lions defense is terrible. Fine. Chicago Bears defense is terrible. Jared Goff's playing at home. His home versus away splits are incredible. At home, he's a way better quarterback. They have a great offense. I'm going to say Goff and not look back. But I think both are good options.
What about you there, Justin? Do you have an argument for that?
So I know you can't completely go based off of this by any stretch of the imagination, but the last time they played, Goff had 16 and Fields had 43. And most of that was running for Fields. He had 13 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 touchdowns throwing and 167 yards passing. So I'm telling you, like, if it's me, I've got the championship on the line. I feel like I need big points. I want the guy that's going to get me big points and not just really good points. But I'm going to throw all risk out the window and jump on Fields and ride him all the way to a championship.
Jason's ready to pop off the screen. What do you got, Jason?
No, so again, I do think Fields is a good play, but that speaks again back to the home versus road and Jared Goff home. Okay, Jared Goff away 234 yards average, at home 290 touchdowns this year. Away, he's thrown 6 total touchdowns. At home, he's thrown 20. He's got a 106.9 quarterback rating at home versus 87.6 away. Goff is a much better quarterback when he's playing in Detroit in that dome, and I think that'll show. And that's the difference between the last game in Chicago versus this game at Detroit. And again, I don't disagree that Fields could be very good. He could be great on the ground again. He also wasn't as dinged up back when he played the Lions as he is now. He's had several injuries since. So, Mike?
So, to avoid the tie here, I'll just go ahead and let this be a 2-1. You guys both make some solid points. To me, honestly, I don't really feel like there's going to be a quarterback that you're going to start that you're going to be upset with in this matchup. I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring matchup. I think everybody's going to be able to get theirs. If I had to make a tendency to lean, it's always tie goes to the runner. Give me the guy that's going to be running the ball as opposed to throwing the ball a little bit more. But, I mean, I feel like Goff, after the embarrassment they had last week, I think he's going to come out swinging. But I don't fault you for wanting to start Field as well on that one. We got a couple more here, and we'll wrap it up. We got tight end troubles. Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill versus the Eagles. Hayden Hurst versus the Bills. Everett versus Rams. PPR. Jason, lead us off.
So Bobby keeps saying he's an underdog. I'm assuming he's an underdog in this league. If I'm going for upside, then I'm going to play Taysom Hill and hope for one of those Taysom Hill games. He's had a couple in a row now. They're using him more and more. So I'm going to say Taysom Hill.
I actually like that a lot. What do you think there, Justin?
Yeah, I agree. The Eagles are I'm not 100% on this, but I believe they're either top 5, top 6, top 7 against the league or against tight ends in the league. My computer is running a little slow right now to double check that, but I'm almost positive I'm correct on that. And then and that's against true tight ends. So obviously that's your Juwan Johnson. So if they're going to utilize Taysom, it's going to be in other ways. And since Mark Ingram has gone down, the guy that's taken on those RB2 rushes has been Taysom Hill. So you're essentially starting a running back at your tight end position. And that's why recently Taysom has gotten that uptick in opportunities that Jason was alluding to. So I'm absolutely going Taysom Hill here.
Yeah, with the potential to be quarterback, I'm actually leaning Taysom here by quite a bit as well. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, you guys all made the decision for me. I like Jawan Johnson. Man, it just seems like the more I see him this year and everything, with the opportunity he has and stuff like that, man, he shows up when you need him and everything. But Taysom Hill, just like what Justin said, based off of what he said, I'll go Taysom Hill.
Eagles are 8th against tight ends, so not 5, but like pretty damn high either way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're playing a tight end in this situation. I'm with Justin. You're playing a quarterback, you're playing a running back, and you're playing a tight end. There's just too much potential off volume with the rest of these guys that could easily throw you a 3 for 33 with no touchdown. So I dig it. Brandon Williams says, I have McLaurin and Judy over Thielen and Olave. Do we argue with that? Are we dropping any? Are we laying down any one of these guys and starting the other two? Jason, what do you think?
No, I think I stick with McLaurin and Judy. The tough part is, I mean, Olave's coming in injured, off an injury. He's got Andy Dalton. If it was Jameis Winston, I would be playing Olave, but it's not. Thielen's kind of been a 3rd to 4th option there in Minnesota the last several weeks. It's just tough because you've got Carson Wentz playing McLaurin and you've got Russ Wilson with Judy. So yeah, it makes it tough, but those two talents I'm going to take over Thielen and Olave.
I agree with that. What do you think there, Justin?
So the only one I'm somewhat hesitant on here is McLaurin, and the reason being is, like, most of his good games have actually been with Carson Wentz. He only, outside of that one really good game against the Giants, McLaurin did not play very well with Heineke. He did not play very well with Heineke for the most part, and now he gets Wentz back. But the big thing on that game is they're playing against the Cleveland Browns, and ever since the Human Predator came back, the Cleveland Browns defense has suddenly been on complete lockdown. I don't understand where this has come from, but all of a sudden they have a defense, and it's a defense to be reckoned with. These last few games have been really impressive. They have a heck of a win percentage with the Human Predator because of the defense. So that's tough. But at the same time, I don't think that Thielen and Olave quite get there for me to put it over the top. So, Brandon, I think I'm going to stick with McLaurin and Judy too, but you're going to have to keep your fingers crossed on McLaurin.
And Rich, what do you think there?
Yeah, I'm sticking with McLaurin and Judy. I actually like McLaurin a lot this week. I think the only maybe thing I would, if I did change anything, which I'm not going to, is Olave would be my third option would be my option to replace Judy, but I'm sticking with those two, McLaurin and Judy.
Absolutely. And he says, would you flex anyone with Dylan, Najee, or Fournette? And I'm assuming over those two as well. Are we going to be?
I think he's saying, would you flex Olave or Thielen over Dylan, Najee, or Fournette? I think that's what he's asking.
So maybe he gets 3 flex, and right now he has Dylan, Najee, and Fournette in there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm moving Olave or Thielen over either one of these guys either. Any one of these guys. If the
question goes the other way, then all 3 of these would be over McLaurin for me.
I agree.
that private chat note caught me off guard right there and cracked me up. We got our man from Poland. What's happening, Trans-Siberia? I hope you're staying safe over there in your. I wish that war would just end for you, my man. He says, last call, I guess. He says, standard Christian Kirk or Devontae Adams. Hopefully next season I'm back in friendly confines of Ukraine. I hope you are too, man. I hope actually you're back in the friendly confines of Ukraine like next week. And thanks for everything you do, good or bad. And I don't know why you were looking at me when you said that, Trans-Siberian. Like, what's up, man? Why you got to be like that? No. One love, man. I hope you're doing okay. Justin, go ahead and lead us off there. This is our man. This is our Ukrainian brother here.
So the Jaguars are coming out and saying that we're going to play this game like it's a regular game. Like, even though there is nothing on the line for them here, win or lose, they still have to play next week for the division championship. So they're saying this and they're saying that, but I'm having trouble starting some of my Jaguars because I'm worried about the what ifs at halftime, or the what ifs after a really bad or a really good first quarter, or the what ifs after 3 quarters. I'm really worried that there's at any moment they're going to say, you know what, that looked like Christian Kirk may have possibly have almost gotten hurt on that play, and I don't want to risk it. Let's bench him. We don't need him in this game. So, and then also on the other side, it's Davante Adams. So if it's even somewhat close to a tie, you always go with Davante Adams. The dude is a beast. So I'm definitely starting Davante. Hey, what's up, my man?
What's happening?
High five.
What's happening, Coach? How we doing?
I wanted to hop in here, wish everybody a happy new year. I know this is the last Blitz of the season. I didn't get to come on here too much, so appreciate you guys. I appreciate you answering my questions, man. I know it's seeing Kenneth Walker go against those New York Jets is making me a little unsettled, but I'm going to start him up.
You're going to be fine, man. It's a different Jets defense than we've seen all season long. The statistics don't match the team in this instance. Ever since they lost their quarterback, it's been way different, man. So feel confident. You're gonna be just fine, my man.
Man, I'm waving to Lori down there. For some reason, I got this eerie glow going on. I'm not in the ether. All right, I'm right here currently.
We're pulling you from the upside down.
No, I'm not there. I'm not there with Eddie. How you guys doing, man? I'm here. If you're wrapping it up, wrap it up. If not, I'm here to answer a few questions. If anybody's got
no worries. Actually, why don't you go ahead and weigh in on this one, there, Coach? We're in the middle of this helping out our boy from the Ukraine.
Christian Kirk or Davante Adams?
Standard.
I'm going with. Man, it sounds crazy to say Christian Kirk, but because Davante Adams, his floor is so high. So I think you have to, especially in the championship, whatever slot you're starting Davante Adams in, you're probably starting with your wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, and you can't swing and miss at wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, and you're not going to swing and miss with Davante Adams. That being said, I really like Christian Kirk. I really like Trevor Lawrence. I really like what the Jaguars are doing, and I think he's got a pretty high floor too. So Davante Adams, he's 5-6 receptions. I don't know if he's guaranteed to get into the end zone, but I do think Kirk is more likely to go for 8 and, maybe a big touchdown, because the Jaguars, they got a lot to play for right now. They're trying to get in, especially with the Titans losing, last week against the Dallas, this week on Thursday. So, man, I can't sit Adams, so it's probably not helping, but I do like Kirk.
It's razor thin, man. It's a really good question. You definitely understand why he's asking it right there, because both of these guys have such good opportunities. But man, so in my opinion, I can't be the guy that benches Davante Adams because of what that guy is capable of. But man, I really want to put Kirk out there too. So hopefully maybe you have a different flex option. Let us know there. What do you think here, Rich?
Obviously, you guys know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Davante Adams. Look, he's a professional with everything that's going on. He understands the nature of the game. He might not be 100% happy about the decision with Carr, but he is a professional and everything. And you have to start Adams. They're not playing for anything, so they're gonna finish the game and everything. Just like what Justin said, there could be a chance that Kirk goes down on a play and kind of comes up gimpy a little bit, and they say, you know what, let's pull him for the rest of the game, so we're ready for next week.
And the Jaguars aren't favored by all that much either. I think I put money on the Jags in the first half, and I believe the first half spread is only like -1.5. So Vegas is expecting this to be close, and Houston does have a good pass defense. So that's another thing to consider.
Absolutely. And I mean, it'd be kind of funny as if Davante Adams went out there and in support of Carr just really dialed it in and sandbagged the whole entire game. What do you think there, Jason?
Oof. I'm just going to be the contrarian. I'm going to say Christian Kirk. Like, I think they have a better opportunity to score here than the Raiders do. The 49ers aren't great against wide receivers, but they also don't get to play backups all that often. That defense is incredible. So I'm going to say Kirk with his starting quarterback versus Adams with Stidham to score, considering this is standard and scoring matters the most.
Absolutely. Okay. So I think that's that nails it down for you. And like I said, man, happy New Year to you. I hope you're staying safe over there, and I hope this new year finds you getting to go back home to Ukraine, get out of Poland, and like I said, just get safe. Our man Nino says Latavius Murray or Tyler Higbee. Man, this is a pretty nasty one. Coach, you're with us. We're gonna go ahead and let you lead this one off, my man.
Well, if you go to toiletstotitles.com, Nino, and you check out my dudes and duds for the week, you will see that I have Tyler Higbee as a dude, and he has been taking off ever since Baker Mayfield got there in LA. Let me look up his numbers real quick because I think they're pretty outstanding over the last 2 weeks. So last week he had 34 points, 9 receptions, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. The week prior he only had 4 receptions for 27 yards and a touchdown, but still he's getting into the end zone. I think there's a very good chance he gets into the end zone this week. Derwin James is out, right? The Rams are 16th against the tight end, so they're middle of the pack. So I think the ceiling is higher with Higbee. And I'm also assuming that since you're questioning it's Higbee or Murray, this is for the flex spot. And for the flex spot, this is where I am willing to take a risk and go for a higher ceiling play. So I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee here.
I love it. What do you think, Jason?
No, I'm 100% agreeing with Coach. We talked about it earlier. Who else is Baker going to throw it to? It's there's Higbee, and then there's Cam Akers, and then I don't know. You pick the guy off the street that Baker's going to throw the ball to.
I think OBJ. I think OBJ's dad still plays for him. I'm not sure.
The ghost of Ben Skoranek. I don't know. There's nobody there to catch the ball. So for me, it's Higbee.
I like it. What do you think, Justin?
The tie always goes to the runner. So in this case, I'm absolutely still going Higbee because it's not even close. So Latavius, I mean, just call it a hunch, but I'm guessing they're going to have to abandon the run kind of early against Kansas City. So, and Baker is playing for a starting position, maybe not in LA, but somewhere. I feel like it's probably still going to be LA. I still believe in Baker Mania. I still gotta believe he's gonna go out there and do his thing and make it happen. And he's gonna need to utilize Higbee to make that happen. And he looks good with Higbee. So I like it. I like it. Let's go with the let's start 2 tight ends in your championship week and see how
you go in the flex spot. And I like it. I like it myself. Rich, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I said it earlier when we were discussing when Higbee was brought up and everything. Based off his performance last week, Mayfield has a connection with him and everything. And I'm assuming it's a PPR league and everything. Coach said it perfectly. In a flex position in a championship right now, these are the decisions that basically give you the championship belt or not and stuff. And Higbee is the person in the situation that he is in right now that could be that player for you.
I like it. I like it a lot. And so that's across the board. We got you Higbee over any Denver Bronco. Don't start a Denver Bronco. I'm a sad Broncos fan. But don't start a Bronco. Coach, does Joey Bosa play today? IDP.
Yeah, Joey Bosa is set to play. He's cleared. He's off the IR. And he's playing against the Los Angeles Rams that have let up 51 sacks so far this season. And that's the 3rd most in the NFL. So if Joey Bosa is active, which he is, and the Chargers are also like, this game's important to them, and they're staying essentially home, playing against the LA Rams. This is a battle for that stadium, and the Rams won last year. And the Chargers, they want to show everybody that they're the team of the future out there in LA. I like Joey Bosa this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and gets 2 sacks. So I'm calling it right here, 2 sacks for Joey Bosa this week.
Yeah, I'm absolutely on board with that philosophy right there. I think Joey Bosa is going to be coming back, and he's going to want to get a whole season's worth of football into this one game, and I think he's just going to be a monster to contend with. I'm definitely starting him in my IDP leagues. Justin, do you agree, disagree? Do you like Joey Bosa today?
Yeah, as much as I believe in Baker, it's Joey freaking Bosa. So he's still going to get his. If he plays, then it's because he's ready. He's going to eat.
Those Bosa boys like to eat. What do you think there, Jason, Justin, Jeff, just blah, blah.
Hey, I've been called worse.
Lots of J's.
Not much worse, but worse.
I mean, it's Bosa, right? Like, what are you going to do? Bench him in IDP? Like, what are you going to play instead of him? I don't play a lot of IDP. I'm in one IDP league. I wish I wasn't. I'm not an IDP guy, but it's Joey Bosa versus some random defensive end. Like, yeah, it's Joey Bosa for sure.
Excellent. And then Reg, go ahead and close us off there.
Yep. If you're in this week making that decision, you're happy that you have Joey Bosa coming in to put back in your lineup for a championship opportunity and everything. So you'd be called foolish if you didn't make this decision.
I like it. I agree completely. And then, Coach, I think you're going to be signing out, bud.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I reached my quota. 3 or 4 questions. Good luck, everybody. Happy New Year. Win those fantasy championships and stay tuned. Toilets Titles. We're going to keep you covered all off season long. And the season hasn't ended. We got playoff fantasy football, $15 a team. And we're already up to 25 teams. I want to get it to 100. So reach out to us. Anybody here, DM them. Reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Sheps or the show at Toilets Titles, and we'll get you all set up.
Absolutely, and appreciate you showing up and stopping by, and Happy New Year, my man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the holiday. And then, so we got one more here from Nino, and then I think we got a couple more from the gang here. We got, does Kendrick Bourne continue to roll? Rich, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with him. I'm assuming he's rolling. If that's what Nino's saying, I apologize. I just haven't heard.
So his last outing was 6 for 100 and a touchdown. But before that, he didn't play against the Raiders. And then right before that, 5 for 47. So he got you almost 10 PPR points.
Yeah, I'd say roll is an exaggeration. Wiggle would be more like what I would be saying here. My answer would be no. What do you think?
It'd be interesting to know what your other option, I mean, that you're considering it and stuff like that. If this is your option and he's been on a roll, then yeah, go with it. It's just interesting to know what your other option would be that you're making this decision.
Gotcha. I like it. What do you think, Justin?
So the reason that he said something about him rolling is because Devontae Parker was out last week. Looks like Devontae Parker is going to be out again this week. Miami, they're kind of middle of the road when it comes to defense against wide receivers, but a lot of that has to do with matchup and game flow. And with Tua being out this week, because I'm assuming Tua has been confirmed out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So with Tua being out this week, there's a much higher possibility that this is going to be a game where they're going to have to continue to push the pass. Game script would determine, in my opinion, that Kendrick Bourne very likely is going to have a pretty decent game again without Parker being out there.
Yeah, so after seeing his two options, I am definitely going Bourne.
Me too.
Those are the other options?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd probably start Bourne even if Parker were there. But so the downside with Parker there is that he didn't have a game all season. Bourne hasn't had a game all season with more than 5 targets. But without Bourne, without Parker there, like I said, he had 9 catches, I think it was, or maybe it was 9 targets last week. Yeah, it was 9 targets last week. So he's going to be heavily used. There's not really very many other options out there. What are they going to do? Throw it to Jacoby Myers and hope he doesn't hand the ball over to the other team again?
Well, I was going to say if was Bourne the one that tipped the ball to Myers, because he should have gotten it.
No, that was something Washington, somebody you've never heard of.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy who got targeted was some guy you've never heard of. It bounced off his hands and then landed in Parker's lap for a touchdown. But that could have easily been Bourne, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I like him over Claypool and Robbie Anderson, but it's not by much. I like Bourne. I just think Jacoby Myers is too much of a target hog on that team in most cases.
Ramondre is also questionable. I apologize, Mike.
Say what?
Ramondre is questionable for this game and everything. So I know he gets involved in a receiving game, but Harris is playing too. So there's a lot of things that kind of factor in. But if Parker is out and everything, look, I'd definitely be going Bourne over those 2 options.
Excellent. Looks like we got a question here from our man Justin, then he's going to duck out, and then we got, I think, one more from our man Jason, and then we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. And we got real quick, we want to shout out our man Bobby Trees, health and happiness, to all this right back at you, man. I hope we can't wait to see you again next year, but don't go anywhere, man. Get into Dynasty and follow us this offseason. We're not going anywhere.
Okay, so my question, and actually let me go back and look and double check to make sure that I'm not muted. I don't want to pull a Rich here. Okay, we're good. So, because I mean, you guys wouldn't tell me until I was 5 minutes. All right. So I actually kind of technically have two. One of them is kind of a concern with Ramondre Stevenson with Damian Harris coming back. Since I missed the first part of the show, did you guys happen to talk about that at all and kind of determine what your views are of Ramondre for this week against Miami?
No, the one thing I can tell you about that is I do know Damian Harris is coming back, but his injury coming back, and to me, I feel like Andre Stevenson, even with Harris on the field, was still a very viable option. He gets most of the work done in the passing game. He gets most of the work. I mean, it's almost like they'll go 3 sets, right, with Ramondre, and then they'll throw one in there with Harris. So I'm still confident with Ramondre here. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, look, Ramondre's in. Like they've already said he's playing. So if he's playing, I'm playing him.
I like it. What do you think, Rich? Same thing?
Yeah. I think Ramondre's kind of proven that he should be the lead dog there now. He has been getting it done. Even when he was injured and stuff like that, he was getting the job done. So I think he's initially taken over that role. Now, look, Harris is going to get his opportunities and everything, but I think this is Ramondre leading this backfield.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I just keep thinking about last week where Stevenson had a really piss poor average. He had that fumble at the end of the game that ended up being a pretty huge fumble, and he ended up with in this league anyway 1.8 because it's not a full PPR. But Steven still, like, he was definitely single digits by far because he actually didn't even he only had 2 catches. So even in a full PPR, the guy still sucked. So like just trying to think of what Belichick could possibly do to screw fantasy football owners. Oh, hey, I've got Harris back and I want to teach Stevenson a lesson, and Stevenson is going to get 6 touches.
Yeah, I know. That's why I try not to cook with the Bill Belichick basket, man. I always try to stay away from that backfield as much as I can, but it's so damn tempting with Ramondre's skill level for sure.
But my actual question was Brock Purdy or Trevor Lawrence, because I've expressed my concerns about Trevor Lawrence with them pulling players potentially at the end of the game. And he's playing against Houston. They're second against quarterbacks because most teams tend to run the ball against them. Or I've got Brock Purdy against the Vegas Raiders, 27th against quarterbacks. Obviously a good defense to typically try to take advantage of a better start, but Trevor Lawrence is clearly the better talent. And I do also have Teddy Bridgewater kind of sitting out there with his crazy googly eyes in this picture, asking me to start him. But he's against New England, 17th against quarterbacks in this league.
What do you think here, Jason? I'll let you lead this one off.
I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. I do think they play their players throughout most of this game. I also think the Texans have been better as of late of staying in games. So what you saw a lot when they were really great against quarterbacks is they were giving up pick sixes. They were giving up big plays to the defense. They weren't hanging around in games. So all you had to do was turn around and hand it off to a guy. You didn't actually have to use your wide receivers or quarterbacks. The last 3 games, they've been in each and every one of those games, even winning one of them. So I do think Trevor Lawrence will have to be used if he plays in this game, and I do think he plays. Now,
I agree with that.
I don't think that's the case with the 49ers versus the Raiders. Playing your backup Stidham, and I'm sorry, Rich, I know you like Stidham, so I keep banging this drum, and for your sake, I hope I'm wrong here. Playing Stidham to me signals that team's not really competing all that well, and I think the 49ers will get to run the ball all over the Raiders and not have to throw a ton. So I think it's switched a little bit, and again, for Rich's sake, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Stidham comes out and is the next Tom Brady.
That'd be funny, but no, I completely agree. I think that you're spot on there. Rich, what do you think here?
So a lot of my basis on Stidham is I'm going back to a conspiracy theory. Well, not a conspiracy theory, but I'm just going to a theory. Okay, so as hard it is to believe, Raiders still have a chance to make the playoffs. And wouldn't this be ideal that everything. And if you look at the matchups of everything that has to happen for them to do it, it could definitely happen this week. And as much as everybody is talking about how bad the 49ers are going to kill the Raiders this week, they could come out and freaking have a huge game and everything. And like I said, I'm just basing it off.
I'm just a Raiders fan. Jamming on some Raiders fans.
Exactly. And take it for what it's worth. I am a diehard Raiders fan. I don't care who they play. I'm always going to pick them to win.
We see this stuff every week, right? Like a team that's supposed to be dominant comes out and loses. It happens.
Absolutely. Yep. It happens all the time. So, I mean, wouldn't put it past it, especially with a third string quarterback being your starter for sure. But I definitely,
and this is what I tell everybody is, look, everybody was complaining about some of these trick plays and some of these plays that McDaniels was doing and everything. And all of a sudden, Stidham is in there, and he ain't going to call any of those. He's going to call a game like he would normally call if Brady was playing. And all of a sudden, Stidham looks like a freaking all-pro out there with the options that he does have with everybody healthy now and everything. He could look good, and they could go out there. Look, Raiders defense hasn't been the best, but they have stepped up. I know they have injuries and stuff like that, but you still have Crosby over there, and he's competing against Bosa as for the number one for defensive player of the year and everything. So I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm throwing all this stuff out there just to confuse everybody because I'm a Raiders diehard fan. But this question, though, I actually like Mr. Irrelevant. I like Purdy in this game over your other option, to be honest with you.
Trevor Lawrence. And so I'm on Lawrence as well there. So you got 2 for Lawrence, 1 for Purdy there, Justin.
Yeah, only ask me questions if you're wanting like chances to percentage chances.
I love that, actually. I thoroughly enjoy that because sometimes it's like you look at your team and you always think pessimistically during the games. Like you always think, oh God, I'm going to lose. Or man, like this guy, I need him to score 15, but he's only going to get 8 against that defense. So when you ask somebody like you, Rich, that thrive on those kind of questions, it gives you that feedback, that live feedback during the game. So you can either, justify what you're already thinking or, kind of chill out and just enjoy football a little bit.
There you go.
So the question I have is for a buddy of mine who took over a dynasty, one of our charity leagues, and he's in the championship, but he knows he's not going to win the prize. He took it over because he didn't pay this year. So the other guy already won the prize, but this is for bragging rights. Now he took over a hell of a team, right? Like this team is loaded for a dynasty. Just reading through it real quick. He's got Mahomes. He's got Dalvin Cook. He's got Saquon Barkley, Amon St. Brown, Keenan Allen, Hawkinson, Mixon, Chase, Connor. And then he's got Lamar Jackson. So in a super flex, he's got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, which should be crushing. Today, right now, he's got Tyler Huntley starting, but his options for a non-quarterback would be Knight for New York, Sutton, Gabe Davis. So I guess the question is, would you play Gabe Davis over Tyler Huntley? Is probably the main question he's going to have.
I would not. I don't care unless it's a Ellinger, freaking Broncos backup. Huntley knows this offense. He's played against the Steelers. He has decent games against them and everything. I'm even though with the options that he has available, who he's throwing to hasn't been the best. I wouldn't play any of those players over a QB in a super flex.
Same here. Yep. Nope. I'm actually starting my quarterback in that situation just because of potential volume. The potential volume is just so much higher. Gabe Davis has been so hit or miss this year. I can't do it. What do you think, Justin?
There are a handful of quarterbacks out there that I would start Gabe Davis over this week, but they all play for the Colts. So none of them are Tyler Huntley. So definitely Tyler Huntley, especially against Pittsburgh. I mean, I like his floor. Pittsburgh, even if their defense is bad at points, they still love to get after the quarterback, and that bites them in the ass every time they have a running quarterback. Maybe not necessarily when they're up and they're playing well. They've had games where they've slowed down Lamar Jackson. but Huntley can get you a good floor on the run alone. And I think his floor is probably going to be a decent game for Gabe Davis. So if he has a decent game, he's going to blow out Gabe Davis.
I told him the same thing, but I told him I'd also ask you guys. So hopefully he's watching.
Definitely.
I get why he's asking this. I get why he's asking this question. The last time he did play Pittsburgh, which was 2-3 weeks ago, he only had 5.62 fantasy points. So
yeah,
I get the reason why.
I believe he got hurt during that game as well. Like, I don't think he played that full game, if I remember right.
I think you're right.
Well, guys, with that, we're going to go ahead and close out the show for the season. I appreciate everybody for sticking with us, sticking through with this, getting us through this championship season. Yet another one in the books. And man, I had a great time this year. I know the guys did too. Make sure you're hitting that like, subscribe, go onto the Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Twitch. Make sure you go to our Facebook. You're following us everywhere. While you're doing that, make sure you go hop onto our Patreon at patreon.com/Toilets to Titles. Hop on there. We got all kinds of tiers on there, man. We got the $3, got the $5. My favorite being the $10 because that gets you into the Frankenstink, which is the funnest league to get into in fantasy football. You get into it for free. You get to go check it out, go head-to-head against some of these guys. And we're up in our championship week this week, too. And, I mean, there's some heavy hitters in there. Like I said, man, it's always a really good time. Thank you, everybody, once again. Make sure you're going to toiletstotitles.com. Best videos, articles, the best fantasy content out there on the web. Guys, do you have anything to add before we close this sucker down?
And stuff like that.
And stuff like that. Rich, for me, Rich, Jason, Justin, all of us, guys, thank you so much. We cannot wait to see you again. And make sure you guys are following us throughout the season where we're going to have all your dynasty bases covered, all your Devy. We got it all, man. So get on there, follow us. Thank you guys again for a wonderful, wonderful season. Happy New Year.